Update, brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690 300. Manx Radio's Update with Andy Wint.
Pastor Mai, good evening. It's 5:30. This is Update for Thursday, 29th of February 2024 from Manx Radio. 30 minutes looking at the latest news on the Isle of Man. Background to that news and sport, business, Sea-Watch, travel updates and the newsmakers in person. This evening, our assisted dying bill's got the eyes of Westminster on it. Budget gets thumbs down from a Chamber of Commerce survey. Education, sport and culture loses a political member. We hear from the Sportsman of the Year, Bevan Rodd, and saving Ballakilpheric Chapel.
Man Benham for all your business and legal needs.
First of all, at 29 minutes ahead of 6 o'clock, the Update News headlines. Faster Mai, Chanel Suku.
Faster Mai. The Manxman will be out of commission for 4 days in the coming months. The steam packet company says the vessel will undergo planned servicing of its marine evacuation system. You can find the dates on manxradio.com. And MHK has resigned from her position within the Department of Education, Sport and Culture, citing concern over policy direction and funding decisions made by those outside of the department. Claire Christian of Douglas South says she's proud of the various initiatives that she's developed over the past 3.5 years. And Manx Radio understands at least one baby has been born on the Isle of Man today. Due to it being a leap year, those born on this day will technically only get the chance to celebrate their birthday once every 4 years. In international news, the Israeli military admits some soldiers did open fire at Palestinians surrounding an aid truck, but claims they feared for their safety. At least 112 people died. Meanwhile, 1,500 jobs are going at Sainsbury's. The supermarket says it's part of efforts to bring down costs by £1 billion. And in sport, Paul Pogba intends to appeal against his 4-year football ban for failing a drugs test. Those were your headlines. News at 6.
Secure tomorrow today with Man Benham's private client team. Manx Radio weather with Manx Glass and Glazing.
Yoromaya, thank you. Chanel from the Ronaldsway Met Office. There is a strong wind warning in operation for the North Irish Sea and a gale warning for tomorrow. Sea state moderate, then moderate or rough tomorrow morning. And the weather this evening mostly dry and a fresh to strong southwesterly. Overnight thickening clouds going to bring rain, perhaps wintry over the hills, down to 3 degrees. For Jehenya, Friday is wet with hill snow in a moderate to fresh east-southeasterly. It'll dry up later as the wind backs northeasterly and picks up. Top temperature 7 Celsius, overnight minimum 3. Into Saturday for Jasan, cloudy with isolated rain or wintry showers on a fresh to strong north-northwesterly. Daylight maximum is 7 Celsius. Sunset tonight 5 to 6, low water 24 minutes past 8. High tide is 22 minutes after 2. Sunrise 5 past 7 tomorrow morning. Low water 17 minutes before 9.
Manx Glass and Glazing are proud to be an approved contractor with Construction Isle of Man. Call the team on 674 573 or visit the showroom on the Snugborough Trading Estate.
A group of MPs at Westminster is warning the UK government must prepare for assisted dying to be legalised. They say it's increasingly likely here on the Isle of Man, and the UK must have a response if it happens. Christian Jones has been looking at that story.
MPs on the House of Commons Health and Social Care Committee say it's becoming increasingly likely that assisted suicide could be legalised on the Isle of Man. Childline founder Dame Esther Ranson, who's recently joined the Dignitas Clinic in Switzerland, wants a vote in Westminster, but campaigners worry such a move could damage society. Social policy group CARE feels different policies might cause cross-border pressures on the NHS. Consultant geriatrician Dr. Duncan Gerry has worries too.
It's the people with vulnerability that I'm most concerned about, that may be coerced, maybe feel a perception of being worthless and not want to be here, maybe feel that not being a burden to their family is the right answer.
It's understood Westminster will hold a respectful debate as and when the time comes if the Isle of Man does push through the proposals. However, MPs are not recommending a vote. UK Education Minister Damien Hinds isn't sure how he would vote though, but last time said no.
I can never say for sure because that's the way that we have democratic decision making.
The committee reviewing the island's proposed assisted dying legislation says it's waiting on two key pieces of evidence before presenting its findings. It's been created to examine the clauses of the bill, which is currently going through the House of Keys. The findings were due to be presented this week, but have been delayed. MHK and Minister Alex Allinson is a GP on the island.
I think when you look at other jurisdictions who brought in assisted dying, to begin with, there's that reticence. But as they actually see it in practice and get the right training and support, more and more people see the benefits of it.
A group representing the Isle of Man's businesses has said it has no confidence in this year's budget. The Isle of Man Chamber of Commerce has published the results of a survey of its members, which they say represent 22,000 employees here. A story with Amy Griffiths.
The Chamber asked its members 3 questions and received 201 responses. 98% said the budget won't help their business, 96% don't think it will help their employees, and 95% believe tax rises should have been matched with corresponding savings in government expenditure. It also says over half of employers don't believe the childcare support in the budget will help their staff. The Chamber is now seeking urgent action from the government to re-establish what it's called stability, confidence and optimism for businesses. It's calling for responsibility for the economy to be clearly defined via a strategic board of public and private sector members, with a minister reporting through to the Council of Ministers, a Treasury Minister and team that understands business, the economy and its structure when taking decisions that affect future growth, government spending, investment and the island's competitive advantages, to tackle the size, cost and scope of government, and that ministers and departments must be financially responsible and accountable with mandatory oversight on spending. The Chamber's also asking ministers to be prepared to listen and understand, not listen to answer. The Treasury Minister Dr. Alex Allinson says he's concerned by the letter, but says Tynwald members approved the budget and he respects the view of Tynwald. You can see their letters in full at manxradio.com.
This is the most listened to Isle of Man news source, and Manx Radio's Update is the Isle of Man's most downloaded news podcast.
14 honours were handed out last night in the latest celebration of Manx sport for the 2023 Isle of Man Sports Awards at the Villa Marina in Douglas. Taking the Sportsman of the Year title and earning a place in the Isle of Man Sport Hall of Fame, rugby union star Bevan Rodd. He told us what he thinks about it all.
Yeah, huge, to be honest. Obviously the talent in this island is huge and there's massive potential. It's crazy to see how much the Isle of Man's grown in the last 5 years, and I think in the next few years it's scary to think who's going to be next in line. And then obviously to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, being completely honest, I really wasn't expecting it. I don't feel like I've done enough to do it, but obviously it's been very nice to accept it, and it's an honour to be here. It's an honour coming back here and seeing the love from everyone, and yeah, I really enjoy my time here. I just simply can't get back because obviously my schedule with Sale and England, but due to my injury now, and I'm able to come back and go back to my old school, give back to what they did to me, so which has been really nice.
And of course over the last 12 months, the 2023 Rugby World Cup as well. How big an experience was that? That
was huge, yeah, and as I said in there, it's a dream come true, literally a dream come true. I remember watching it when I was 7 years old, 2007 World Cup, and losing South Africa in the final. Sadly, we lost South Africa again in 23, and then, yeah, that was heart-wrenching, but no, honestly, to play in the World Cup is a dream of mine, and it's just incredible. Now it's come true.
How proud does it make you feel to see the next generation coming through and maybe following in your footsteps as well?
Yeah, I don't think people follow my footsteps. I think I don't think people follow my footsteps. I think they start their own journey, and if I can show there's a way there, then please do tick it. And if they want help ever, they're more than welcome to get in touch if they want. And with Patrice and Harry Thompson at Sale as well, they're great athletes, great rugby players, and I'm convinced you'll see them here at some point because they're very talented people.
It's been a little over a week since Julie Edge MHK was sacked as Minister for Education, Sport and Culture. Now there's another change within that department. Douglas South MHK Claire Christians resigned as a political member. The story from Simon Richardson.
So she's still an MHK and will remain chair of the Economic Policy Review Committee, member of the Public Accounts Committee and the Standing Order Committee of Tynwald and the House of Keys. But as for her time in the Department of Education, Sport and Culture, it's over. In a statement posted on her political social media page this lunchtime, Mrs Christian says she's proud of various initiatives she's seen developed over the past 3.5 years. However, she says recent events, including the criticism levelled at former Minister Julie Edge and the department over the situation with the Southern Pool and the perceived interference by other senior ministers, have led her to make the difficult decision. I am concerned, she says, that the policy direction and funding decisions may now be influenced more heavily by those not responsible for the department. She's praised the former minister who was replaced by GARF MHK Daphne Kane last week, acknowledging the collaborative and supportive environment she fostered and the true spirit of teamwork, respect and dedication to following procedures that she demonstrated. Under her leadership, she adds, there was a significant and positive shift towards a more dynamic and experienced approach in the field of education. She finishes by saying, I want to express my gratitude for the opportunities and experiences I've had during my time at DESC and to those I have had the pleasure to work with. I believe it's now in the best interest of both myself and the department to part ways. Manx Radio has contacted government for comment.
Sea Watch with the Isle of Man Steam Packet Company.
Motor vessel Manxman left Heysham at 2:07. She's, as I speak, just spinning around in the inner harbour, ready to go stern onto the link span. We'll depart this evening at 7:45, heading for Heysham, getting there about 11:30. Overnight departure 2:15, back to Douglas at 6 tomorrow morning. And the morning departure 8 o'clock. Manxman heads to Heysham. And you heard that Manxman's going to be out of commission for 4 days in the coming months for planned servicing of its marine evacuation system. The days are Tuesday 26th of March, Monday 15th of April, Thursday 25th of April and Tuesday the 7th of May. There'll be no disruption to passenger services as the Fastcraft Manannan or Ben McCree will take over the Manxman sailings for these dates.
Follow the Steam Packet on Twitter for the latest sailing information.
A friend of the Isle of Man sadly passed away today. One of the hairy bikers, Dave Myers, has died at the age of 66 after being diagnosed with cancer 2 years ago. The TV chef, along with Cy King, regular visitors to the island and have been great supporters of the Manx food scene. Back in 2007, Dave told Geraldine Jameson why the Isle of Man held such a special place in his heart.
Well, you're no stranger to the Isle of Man.
No, I love it.
Yeah. Had you ever heard of our Manx Queenies before your first visit here?
Yeah. Well, I used to come over with my dad when I was a kid. So we used to do that trip. The Round Table used to have a boat every year from Barrow. We used to come on daily day trips and we'd get our kippers and our queenies and take them back. Then when my dad retired when I was 8, with his lumper from the paper mill, his lump sum, we had a week at the Metropole on the Isle of Man. This was like our proper first big holiday.
Yes.
And so I had a good place in my heart. And then, we've been by queenies. We used to get them in Scotland, but they're not like the Manx queenies. They're not small and sweet.
Do you think we're doing enough to promote our culinary delights here?
I think so. Well, I think it's getting there because it's deserved. It deserves it. The food deserves it. Like yesterday, I was at the Taste the Food Festival the restaurateurs organised, and the Paddy's Market, the seafood. I was on their stand cooking queenies, and I've just come back from Singapore, so everything I've got. I love Oriental cookery, so I was using Manx. And Manx queenies could work really well with Oriental food because they've got more taste than the king scallops. So if you take those recipes, use queenies, say with lots of ginger, lemongrass, they're absolutely wonderful. I made a pad thai, but the creamery, the cheesemakers on the Isle of Man are superb. Some of the fine eating you have here, with the Italian restaurants, the seafood restaurants are perfect. It's such good food, and I think there's a lot of people working very hard. As an off-islander, I'm learning more and more. There are a lot of people who are working to make the Manx name a real quality label. The Lockton lamb, which you're familiar with, Jodie. It's superb food stuff.
Manx Radio Business Briefing.
At 16 minutes before 6 on the corporate front, Halliam PLC's shares surged after the consumer health company said growth accelerated last quarter and revenue could grow as much as 6% this year. The stock had its biggest gain since the company's spin-off from GSK PLC, rising as much as 9% in London trading. The maker of Sensodyne toothpaste, Centrum vitamins and Panadol tablets has cut costs and pared its portfolio since the split from GSK in 2022. From full daily market market report, go to ramseycrookall.com. European stocks have been soaring to record new heights recently. The Euro Stoxx 600 index, a benchmark of stocks from across the continent, has seen 5 straight weeks of gains, rising 15% over its pre-pandemic level. Albeit comparatively modest, this rise echoes the ongoing rally in the United States. According to experts, despite worries about struggling economic growth in parts of Europe, stock valuations have remained reasonable rather than overheated. However, we see some potential drops ahead, with Bank of America predicting a 15% fall for European stocks this autumn. Amidst the broader boom and debate over the sustainability, a select group of 11 mega-cap Euro stocks named Granola by Goldman Sachs, including Nestlé, L'Oreal and Novartis, has led the broader market rally. These stocks of global companies based in Europe have surged about 15% in the last year, even as the broader market has nudged up by only 5%.
The Stock Market Report. Brought to you by Ramsey Crookall.
UK and European markets closed higher. US markets were stronger after the US Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index rose by 0.4% monthly and 2.8% annually. Oil nudged higher, gold turned positive, and Bitcoin extended gains to above 60,000, almost touching 64,000 in sight of its 2021 record high, just below 69,000. The numbers from Ramsey Crookall at the close in London: the FTSE 100 up almost 0.3% at 7,645. The DAX in Frankfurt closed up 0.6%, 17,707. A short time ago in New York City, the Dow Jones Industrial up almost 0.1% at 38,978. The Nasdaq Tech Stocks Index is up 0.5% at 16,026. Continuing the good news, S&P 500 in Chicago up 0.3% at 5,084. In the exchange markets, the British pound sterling trading at $1, 26.3 cents, €1, 16.8 cents, and 24 South African rand, 23.4 cents. In commodities, gold's up 0.6% at $2,045 per troy ounce, and a barrel of Brent crude up 0.6% at $82.36.
I'm running late again. Do you know where I put my car keys?
In the fridge.
Where's my phone?
Under the dog basket.
Bye.
You haven't forgotten that we're seeing Ramsey Crookall later?
Oh, no, of course not. 5 p.m, is it?
2:45.
I'll be there.
Life is busy. That's why Ramsey Crookall's team takes time to help you make a mindful investment decision, considering all the options, giving you full control of your financial future. Less stress, more assurance.
Forgot to put my shoes on.
See how we can make your money work for you. Call 717171 or visit ramseycrookall.com. Licensed and regulated by the Isle of Man Financial Services Authority.
Efforts to save a Methodist church almost 175 years old in the south of the Isle of Man are gathering momentum. A group of fundraisers have managed to collect almost £2,000 to pay for urgent repair work at Ballakilpheric Chapel. Without it, the church would be closed. There are 6 phases of works needed. One of the fundraisers, Jenny Bean.
I attend the services when I can, when I have attended a lot recently, and at one service a few weeks ago became aware of the fact that after the next service there was going to be a church council meeting, and it was likely that at that meeting it would be discussed that the chapel would have to close due to its state of repair, that the floor had collapsed going through into the kitchen in the schoolroom, the floor in the back of the chapel had also collapsed, and the people who were, the stalwarts of the church couldn't see a way forward into raising any funds to repair it, and without the coffee mornings, which couldn't take place in the schoolroom because of the floor, it was a bit of a catch-22, they couldn't raise the funds. So I thought about it, and I just put a post on a social media group and said just that story really, and 30 people turned up to the service that week, including Rachel and Paul, who are here now, and it kind of spiraled from there. We stayed for the council meeting and put ourselves forward to see if we could resolve this for the community and ourselves.
Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates. Manx Radio Sport.
Fast am I, Rob Pritchard.
Fast am I. Good evening. Starting with athletics, and as well as receiving the Veteran Sportsperson of the Year honour at the Isle of Man Sports Awards last night, Sarah Webster has confirmed she's intending to defend her Anglo-Celtic plate title in a few weeks' time. The Manx long-distance runner stormed to victory in the gruelling 100km event in Northern Ireland last year, smashing the British 100km record by nearly 24 minutes. I asked her what keeps her so driven to take on such demanding races like this going into the rest of the year.
I think it's just keeping my sanity by running round in circles, and I've actually discovered I'm quite good at running round in circles, so just keep going. Running is a freedom to think about other things, get out there and enjoy it really, and whether that be enjoying looking at the scenery or just looking internally and thinking about something else, there's always something to think about.
In football, Laxey have claimed the first under-18 silverware of the year after a 2-1 victory over Ramsey in the under-18s League Cup final last night. Both sides came into Wednesday evening's contest at the Bowl in contrasting situations in the under-18s league standings. Whilst Ramsey began the day as joint league leaders, Laxey sit 10 points behind the Northerners in 6th. Last night saw Ramsey take a first-half lead before a double from Eric Hill in the second period turned things around to hand Laxey victory. For his goal-scoring exploits, Hill also earned the Player of the Match award. The Isle of Man FA is thanking referees, coaches, players and spectators for their efforts and support. And finally, motorsport, and he may be one of the most successful TT riders of all time, but just like any other motorcycle rider, Michael Dunlop has had to take his road test this week, and the Ballymoney man has indeed now passed after taking his final examination in Northern Ireland this week. His tutors, Moto Training NI, says Dunlop was great to have around, and they're wishing him a safe and successful season to come.
Manx Radio Travel, driven by Quayside Tyres and Service Centre.
Inbound at Ronaldsway, just 2 tonight, 5 to 8 Loganair from Liverpool, the returning patient transfer plane, and the 8 o'clock Loganair from London City. Outbound tonight, 6 o'clock Loganair to Liverpool. On the roads, Hillside Avenue, Douglas is closed for adjacent office window replacement through to Circular Road. Switzerland Road, well, part of it is closed for construction work in Douglas. Temporary light at the bottom end of Summer Hill for gas repairs. In Brighton Terrace, some temporary lights there at the Mount Bradder junction for gas main replacement. Temporary lights on Loch Prom at Tower House for cleaning the building. In Glen Tramon, temporary lights on Lazaire Road for resurfacing. Phase closures on the Starvey Road for water main work. And the bottom end of Ballabooey Road is closed for ditching work. In Foxdale, part of the Lubes Road's closed between Erie Dam and Kelmslew Hill for patching work. In Gansey, bottom end of Mangorn Road is closed for patching work. In Ramsey, Parliament Street's closed from Court Road to the end of Bourne Place for repairs to speed ramps and the reversal part-time of that one-way system. In Baldrine, temporary lights on the main road just north of the Liverpool Arms for work on the tram crossing. And in Colby, phase closures of the Ballakilpheric Road for water main work. In Andros, the Cian Droghad Road is closed in phases for water main work, and south of Kirkmichael, closures on the Ballalai Road for water main work. And around the airport, just be advised, the inner lane of the Terminal Building Road is temporarily closed for ground repairs and necessary works. The closure expected to last for the next few days. Buses will be available to collect customers from the inner lane slightly forward of the normal location.
Ask how you can spread the cost interest-free at Quayside. Update brought to you by Simcox Advocates, advising businesses and families since 1949. Visit simcox.com or call 690-300.
And checking the matrix signs at the moment, no problems on the Mountain Road. It is fairly clear. Remember to like Manx Radio on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and if you use Twitter or LinkedIn, remember to follow Manx Radio, and your Twitter or LinkedIn feed will tell you the moment the Update podcast is published and available to listen to. It's usually within about 30 minutes from the end of the broadcast. If you follow us on social media, thanks, we appreciate it. Raising income tax and national insurance will inevitably increase the amount of people relying on the Isle of Man Food Bank. The charity says it's concerned about the impact of the further squeeze on living costs and what it will have on people who are already only just about managing. Director of the Isle of Man Food Bank, David Gaughan.
During 2023, our average number of parcels which we gave out during the year was just over 330 a month. Now, in December, that actually peaked to over 500. And whilst we haven't got the final figures yet for January, anecdotal evidence shows that it will be certainly round about the 500 mark again, which takes us back to where we were during the height of COVID. Now, we do have peaks and troughs. During the summer months, it can drop off. But certainly, I think what's worrying is that we are seeing things higher than we would like.
And presumably this latest budget would suggest it's moving in the opposite direction.
I suppose it depends how you look at it. If you look at it on the basis that various benefits have increased, then there is some optimism. But if you look at the fact that, as you say, national insurance has gone up and that there's been a change in the rates of income tax and the ceilings, the majority of people we deal with are the just as bad managing, as they are called, and these are the people which I think was highlighted by a number of people are going to be most affected by this by this change in taxation, and therefore I can see that that will push more and more people onto us. It's people who are working but who are on lower incomes, and I think it was said that if a single person who's now on 21,000 a year would suffer the higher rate of tax. These are people who the slightest change in their finances can cause problems.
That's it for Update Tonight, compiled from the resources of Manx Radio's news department. Thanks to newsreader Chanel Suku, producer is Amy Griffiths. After the news at 6, Judith Lakes here. In the archive room, the greatest hits with Chris Kinley at 6:30. A little light music with Morris Powell at 9 and Rhiannon Evans after hours with a late show at 10. That's it for Update. That's it for February. Back tomorrow, Friday at 5:30.
WINT